There we go. So we're recording. So first of all, welcome Bella and Pratik, two amazing beings that Amanda and I met. Well, it was last week, right?
It was.
It was. Oh my God.
Or 10 years ago.
Or 10 years ago.
Yeah, right? We already knew in the past life, I think.
Yeah.
And quick introduction. You guys don't need introducing, but we have one of the most amazing photographers I've ever met in my life, with so much creativity and so many beautiful images. And I just want to, talk about you all over the place. and then an amazing, one of the best retouchers I've ever seen. And this duo is just explosive. We met at the Standout Forum in Stockholm, where all of us were working somehow. And just when we were leaving, we turned around and I went up to Pratik and I said, can we have a chat? And somehow we felt that energy that we just had to connect, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't even know you had finished or you were leaving, but I saw you from literally, it feels like a romantic story. It's like, saw you across the room and then suddenly, he was the one. I meant that. I won't tell her, yeah.
First impressions of Pratik always count.
Exactly. And mine started when we walked in the room when you were having your presentation, your talk, and I just went in the back. And normally I don't, I'm not stressed because I'm never stressed, but I'm into my thing that is about to happen. So I don't pay. I know it sounds horrible.
Focus. No, you're focused.
Attention to coming before me, which I know is bad, Andrea. And but somehow when I walked in and you guys were talking about what you do and I was seeing you work and your energy was just like, wow. And I told Amanda, these guys are incredible. Look at that.
Thank you. That's really kind.
It's because we were children, that's why.
Yeah, we just had fun.
And let's keep it that way. Let's all stay children forever.
But that's so true, though. I mean, ultimately, you almost introduce yourselves in a way too, because I feel like we feel the same way about you guys and the energy that we felt when we met you, and it almost felt like like you said, we've known each other for a long time.
Literally, the moment we started chatting, I was like, "This is good vibes."
Yeah.
Like, we are gonna all get along really well, and so I'm really happy that we're here today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so cool when you get that feeling like, oh, this is someone that I really want to talk to, and actually go for that as well.
Yeah.
So you have no idea where it's gonna end up or what it's gonna lead into or whatever. It's just like, well, what do I have to lose? Let's just talk and see what shows up and what we can create. Because I'm thinking like when you had your talk at the Standout, and there always comes up questions about competition and blah blah blah, all of this. And people always ask these questions. Well, how do I get clients? How do I make a name of myself in the industry and blah blah blah? And I would say it's exactly that, like following the energy of what people will actually contribute to you and to your business.
Yeah, that's very true.
And to your creativity.
And it's quite funny you mentioned that, because I mean, if you buy into, like, I would say 98% of the photographers that were there that day that I was talking about competition, I don't think it would ever come anywhere in their world, in their universe, to actually talk to another photographer as we are doing.
No.
And actually complimenting each other. And I mean, I'm honestly totally blown away by what you guys do.
It's so common. Because even in the UK, they don't really talk to each other, or I don't know. Not many photographers host meetups, for example.
Yeah. Like
pulling together people within the industry, just so you can meet and chat and make connections.
Yes.
For some reason, photographers, I don't know, maybe because this is a saturated market, we are all people want to hold on tight to any kind of leeway they've made in their career, but they don't realize that the more you share, the quicker you grow.
Exactly. And the more inspiration we share with each other, that's the whole thing. And there is no real competition. I mean, how can any of us four compete with each other, for God's sake?
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, really? It just doesn't exist.
Especially because our visions are also different. There's no way to really overlap.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see the competition being a problem if the vision is similar.
Right.
But if there's
not even there, because I mean, we're all individuals and our energies are so unique. And I mean, my energy now, if you compare it to literally an hour ago, I met my ex-wife.
Oh no!
It was a totally different energy, I promise. So when you look at that, so how can we compete? And as I was saying in the talk, when we go into competition, we really are competing with ourselves.
Yes.
Very true. Actually, that's really true.
Yeah.
But it's also, I guess, the same outlook we have as creatives in relationships. Like, for example, when I see you two, you have different energies, but still strong in different ways. But you recognize it and come together, even though you're both different, and you can see the greater good of it or the better outcome of the final product of that.
Exactly.
The strength in each other, really.
Right. Yeah.
As a creative, because I think as creatives, we have a lot of passions, and not just like photography. Yeah, we're all interested in photography, but we have so many other complementary passions as well.
Yeah.
That all comes into play as well when it comes to like recognizing and a fellow artistic soul, and then.
Yeah. But it's funny you say that, mention that, Pratik, because I mean, it's in couples you do the same. When you have a couple, a relationship as a couple that is actually thriving instead of killing itself, it really is that of complementing each other, of helping not helping. I don't like the energy of helping because it means that somebody's in need. Contributing to each other.
Yeah.
And when you contribute to each other and let each other expand and grow, then the relationship itself grows.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So how about you guys? When you came together for the first time, what was the realization that you're both different but similar enough that you could grow with each other?
I just speak for myself, but I knew it from the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't know how. I mean, neither of us went into conclusions when we met. We met on actually a Zoom webinar, very similar to this.
Oh wow!
But it was a larger group, and it was.
We're actually talking about creativity.
We are talking about creativity, actually, funny enough.
Wow.
I was hosting together with a few friends and talking about creativity and all sorts of stuff.
God bless the internet.
Yes.
And we had never met before. And the evening before, I had broken up with my ex after 9 months of suffering and 10 years of crazy, destructive relationship. But I made a choice that day when I broke up with my ex that now I choose to be happy. I choose happiness no matter what. And I also told myself I don't really want to go into another relationship. I'm happy enough as I am being on my own. I have my life. I travel. I work. I have fun. So I'm happy with that. And definitely never, ever get married again because with my son's mum, that was like a really... it's not an experience that I wanted to repeat, basically. So,
and marriage was not in my universe whatsoever. I was in total resistance. I was like, oh, marriage is stupid.
But how does the universe work? That one day you split up and you're like, that's it, picking happiness. The very next day, you both meet.
Yeah.
Exactly. And without going into conclusions, because we met, and I knew when I saw Amanda already on this Zoom webinar, we didn't really talk to each other because there was a lot of people on. But I saw her and I was like, I know that this woman is going to be an immense contribution to my life. And I didn't go into conclusions of how, not even that we would be dating each other.
Yeah.
And the next day, there was an actual meeting in Stockholm about the same subject, creativity. And I go there and Amanda was one of the hosts.
Oh, wow.
I go there and go, oh my God, there she is.
Wow. There she is.
Yeah.
Amanda's flicking her hair. She's like, I'm ready for a photo shoot. And then suddenly she's moving.
Oh, that's amazing. What a love story. I love that.
And it's so like, that's the thing as well. When we're not invested in the outcome, that's when we actually allow the space for creation.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was the same when we met. I got the energy similar to the energy that we got when we met you guys. Like, this is a person or several people or whatever that I would like to create with.
We don't even know
what
how.
that creation
is.
Exactly. It's that. It's true. It's just that.
We don't know clue how.
Yeah.
We have some ideas, some fantasies, some dreams, some whatever, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it's without going into conclusions.
Yeah.
What we have now, on the other hand, is this really nice, yummy, bubbly energy between the four of us.
Yes. It's true. It's almost like when we have a job that we have to do and we keep it open ended. The outcome is usually more exciting and better, even though we don't have an exact idea.
Yeah, totally.
Because you shoot like that too. You specifically, you don't really have a mood board per se for many shoots. It's just let me go on set and see what happens, and then those are the best photos. It's like not even the ones that are jobs that are the best, because those you have to plan for mood boards and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I literally, for most of my personal work, I just grab whatever I feel I want to grab that day that's around me. Like, I'll grab a bit of gold leaf, I'll grab some of these like flowers that I'll spray, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, cool.
And then I just go and make a picture, and it's like.
Have you ever had this feeling that both of you, that when you do these projects that are open-ended and you let everything just come to you, it literally comes to you and you don't actually have to do any of the work? Have you noticed that?
Well, I honestly think it's like whatever energy you put out into the universe and whatever you ask for, it will work to help make your dreams come true.
Yes.
So that's what I'm always trying to do with my work. Always saying like, this is what I want, and then that comes my way. So,
and it helps you get less stuck on things that you did wrong, because you don't know what you did wrong if you didn't plan for doing something right to begin with. So it's more of a, we're going.
Yeah, and also it's not even going into the wrongness of it, because I mean, I believe that we don't really make any wrong choices. We make interesting choices.
Yes, that's a good
like XY.
Like XY.
I'm going to stop calling them wrong or failures. I'm going to say
no, exactly.
Choice.
Because if we look at it, if we look at the XY story, I mean, if I call it wrong, then everything up to this point in my life would be wrong. But without that, I wouldn't actually be here.
No,
I wouldn't.
It's a negative.
I wouldn't be in Sweden still. I would never have met Amanda. I wouldn't have we wouldn't have met us four. So I believe that we actually choose everything, including the wrongness in our lives.
Right.
And the first time I realized this was actually during my, just after my divorce. During the divorce, I was really into like what I thought was one of the shittiest periods in my life, with the divorce, and I had a model agency that was almost bankrupt because this partner cheated me out of all the money, and et cetera, et cetera. So I had two companies that were almost bankrupt, plus the divorce, plus, just like, I thought, this is...
Oh God, it's all happening at once.
All at once. And I was actually, feeling sorry for myself in that period. But after that, once I realized that I was actually able to choose how to create the rest of my life, I could actually, not delete, but put everything to rest and make something new grow out of that.
Right. Yeah.
But that was actually, I realized that it was a very definite choice of mine to actually create all that, including the divorce, including the almost bankruptcies, including all of these things, because hadn't I done that, I would not have been in a position of allowing myself to choose something else and the life that I have today.
It's incredible, because I think it takes also a certain type of mindset to see yourself from like a top level and looking down on yourself, because sometimes we get so stuck in feeling the way we do, we can't see out of it. Almost having the open-ended faith, knowing that there's definitely something positive coming, is a big learning experience, and something that people can take away from.
So I'm curious, like when you say, both of you, that you create out of what is fun for you, has it always been like that, or has that kind of been a process to get there?
I think it's a process to get there. I think when I first picked up a camera, it was really fun. And then life happens and jobs come your way and you say yes. And before I knew it, I went from like having this much kind of freedom to this much freedom. When you're hired for a wedding or for a job or for a photo shoot, you're really restricted to the client to a certain extent. And I just felt that I was losing a sense of self and a sense of like my artistic soul wasn't being fulfilled. And the reason I picked up a camera was to satisfy that need. So I was like, that's it.
So you realized early on that you want to create for pleasure. So you kind of built your business model around that aspect too.
Yeah, and also I think what happened was at that time, a lot of things were constraining me. So not only was like the little road that I'd taken my photography down constraining me a little bit as well. Because shooting, weddings and I had the greatest admiration for wedding photographers because
me too.
now thinking about shooting a wedding.
I could never go there.
Yeah, it was just crazy. I was just saying yes to the job because I didn't know what I wanted. And then at the same time, I was working full-time as an architect. And again, I wasn't really happy there. So yeah, it just got to a point where I really needed to do something for myself and just feel really selfish.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I started doing that and being really playful with it. So, you know, and having my architecture job giving the income so that I could be playful. Then my business grew organically from that point.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's good. I mentioned that because, you know, there's a lot of photographers who get stuck doing something they don't love. And then they end up doing that for so long that they just hate photography altogether and quit.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Really
I can see myself getting to that point.
Yeah. I mean,
what about you in the fashion world?
We have to do what we do to get paid for it as well. Yeah. So, I mean,
right.
And what you said there, Betty, you said that you were being selfish. And were you really being selfish? Because, I mean, that choice that you consider to be selfish, you realize what a gift it is today to me, to people. Us, to the world, to what you're giving us every single day by being selfish. I mean, that's...
I didn't think of it like that, but that's really nice.
So thank you for being selfish. More of that, please.
Well, I think more people should be selfish. Yeah, I think more people should value themselves and their choices.
Yes.
I call it, I think we know it as a word selfishness, and I think that's actually almost like a negative word.
Yeah.
But it's a very positive, empowering feeling.
It is.
To really give yourself, fully expressing yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's when you do that, when you make that choice for you and not for anyone else, it can be a huge contribution, as Andrea said, to everyone else as well.
Yes.
Because if you're just creating based on everyone else's points of views and what you should do and blah, 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 all of that crap, then you're not going to be a contribution to others as well.
Yeah, and you just, like you said, all of a sudden you end up quitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, that's so true. Andrea, what about yourself? Because you have a passion and the talent for both aspects in terms of not only creating, but showing the process of creation and explaining it and teaching and inspiring others. How do you draw the line between what you love most to do and where you spend your most time in?
Well, it's pretty much a similar story to you guys of choosing what is fun. And that's exactly what when we decided to actually, I remember actually it was our first trip together. It was like after 1 month that we met, and I was going to Dubai and for a lecture, and I invited Amanda, and I came off the stage and I just looked around and I said, I want us to do this together soon. And she literally said, you're like, whoa, what are you talking about? How? I'm like, I don't know how. I just want us to do this together soon. And when we decided to open House of Belluso, our company that is very new still, we sat down with Victor as well, that is my brother-in-law, Amanda's brother. And we sat down, we said, okay, what do we want to do with this company? And the first thing was, what do we want to do with our lives? What do we enjoy out of life? We enjoy traveling. We enjoy good food. We enjoy meeting great people. I enjoy taking pictures, and Amanda secretly enjoys doing that too.
You go, Amanda.
And I enjoy sharing all this with people and inspiring people and trying to show people that they are actually more able to do what they like to do than they think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And we basically said, okay, so we started this company and that's what we do. And if we do that and we enjoy doing this and we have fun, then the money that we also enjoy will come.
That's true.
You know, if you focus on the money, it doesn't come. You scare it away.
How would you, for people like us, we see the direct connection between wanting to do something we love and then making it happen because we see it. But what about somebody who has no idea on how to do that? What if they just see like a wall ahead of them? Like, how do you take something you want to do, like let's say teach, for example, and then make it happen more often? What would be like, the first steps?
Okay, the first time I actually was, I don't really like the word teacher because it means that I know something more than anybody else, but that was actually the first time I was teaching because I was at the London College of Fashion, and I was holding lectures to fashion students about fashion photography. And that was another story because it feels like 20,000 lifetimes ago. But when I did it in only 4 lifetimes ago, when I started doing these things with Profoto, the first time I was petrified. It was in Australia, actually. It was in Sydney. That was my first gig, was in Sydney. And it was like, I think it was like 300 people in the audience. And I was petrified. I was really petrified. And before going on stage, I was like, okay, so am I petrified or am I super excited? Well, I'm actually super excited.
Yeah.
So, and this, me being petrified, is it my point of view, or is it all the people in the audience that must think, God, how is he doing that? Going on stage, I would never do that. But I am not them, and I'm already on the stage. So I have 2 choices: jump off or have fun.
Yeah.
It's such a laugh.
Good.
So it's really like jumping into what you really love and realizing that all the limitations that you build around you are walls that are not actually yours. It's points of view that you pick up from all sorts of other people around you.
Very true. The fear of being judged as well, I think, comes into play.
Judgment is another big wall. Yes.
And I would say like the first step to create, like, as you said, Pratik, if you have like a big wall in front of you and you have no idea what to do next and like what the steps are, is to ask questions.
Yeah.
Like always go back to asking questions.
Yes.
And it could be, and a question, an actual question doesn't have an answer.
Exactly.
That's right.
It's just a question to open up for something else.
Yeah.
For an example, you can ask, okay, so what will it take for me to create this that I want to create?
Right.
Knowing how, without in your head having like a 10-step program to whatever.
Yes.
Actually just asking the question and allowing it to show up, because it does, and it never looks the way you think it will.
Oh God,
that's another good
right.
That's true. I think that's good as well, because then there's room to make it better.
And this stems into the open-endedness we talked about earlier on how keeping things open without a direct plan.
Totally. I'll give you an example. I think that the 4 of us can actually talk about this, about, we know that you ask and you will receive.
Yes.
The universe is just waiting to gift you with whatever you ask, right? So let's assume that we now dream and ask the universe to give us a massive house with a fabulous car and Olympic swimming pool in the garden, helicopter, all this stuff, okay?
You thought about it.
It could actually happen that this actually materializes within a short amount of time, but everything attached to it, maybe the house, we get it from somebody that we love dearly dying.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And the car is actually, I don't know, there could be so many stories attached, and in this house you could end up living with such a horrible person.
Right.
I know. I have that fear too. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
So instead, the question would be, like Amanda says, if you leave an open question without an answer attached to it, what will it take for you to have a life of ease and joy and glory and receive everything that I desire?
Or you phrase the question to your universe very specifically.
Yeah.
I want a big house that came to me from money that I earned myself.
Exactly. But then you have to be specific, because then you have to specify everything about your partner as well, in case, the 4 of us don't have that.
I have a very funny story about that, actually. I had a class once where in something else, and one of the participants, we were talking about this, about asking you shall receive, basically. And she said, like, yeah, and I wanted to, like, I've asked for a man for a long time. Like, I wanted a man in my life. And I was like, okay, so what did you ask for in the man? What were how did you want the man to be, basically? She's like, yeah, well, I asked for someone that liked dogs and that liked long walks and that liked food. I was like, oh, okay, cool, awesome. And what happened? How did it show up? She's like, yeah, well, I did meet a man that had a dog, that loved long walks, and that was a chef. The only thing that I forgot to ask for is a man that actually liked me.
Yeah.
So he showed up, but he was uninterested in her.
Yeah.
So she was like, well, oh, God, I forgot that.
You need to happen, but yeah, that's so interesting. Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to have open-ended jobs and options.
And asks, yeah. And then the next thing that comes into play that is also a very important part of creating what you want to create is to do whatever it takes.
Yes. To be committed.
To be
Yes.
and to be willing to do whatever it takes to go where you want to go.
Yeah.
Because it's like what I see when I talk to a lot of people is that yes, asking you shall receive. Of course, it works, but then you also have to take action. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the hours. You have to be willing to do the boring stuff, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Ashton Kutcher who once said that luck is when opportunity meets preparation? Something like that.
Yeah.
He said something similar along that lines, and I was like, yeah.
Especially when it comes to photography specifically, it's because we don't have a real barrier to entry. So we have to understand that there's people who are only limited by their hunger in success.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is their degree, effectively.
Exactly.
And they forget how hard you actually have to work at the beginning, putting in like 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like you see some people, you tell them, what do you want to be? And they say they want to be a photographer. But then suddenly you see them like going to the movies and enjoying like Netflix all day. Like you're not a photographer like that. You have to understand the hunger that other people are doing. And that's the other danger of having your blinders on, is you don't see everyone else's hunger.
Yeah.
You have to understand what that means.
Yeah.
I was going to say, getting ready for that.
What's going to happen?
Something profound is coming.
Something big is coming, you guys. When you were saying about people who couldn't see past the wall, I was going to recommend one of the things you could do is having going to events, going to network with fellow creatives, and building a community around yourself that is as creative as you, and they will work with you to realize your dream. But then what also happens is that if you surround yourself with people who work harder than you, then guess what? You step up.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the energy is working hard, you're going to step up as well.
Yeah.
So,
because it's usually that thing they use, like you said as well, of people being hungry and people wanting to create, and there are a lot of people that are willing to do whatever it takes. What I would like to see more of is being willing to do whatever it takes, but without using force. Without using competition, without using your elbows and stepping on other people. What if it would actually be a lot easier, faster, and more fun if we could do that together and actually contribute to each other?
More of this.
Yes.
More of this.
Yes.
More of this. It shouldn't just be the four of us talking. It should be the whole world of the photographic community talking with each other and having this kind of yummy energy of, looking at each other's work, seeing how we work, and being a contribution to each other.
You meet a client and you realize that client is not for you for whatever reason, but hey, I'll recommend you to this person instead.
This brings me to another thing, Bella. I haven't even told Amanda yet. I was in the car earlier on today, and I was thinking about you guys, and I'm going to, not in this chat, I'm going to do it privately, but there is a client, a big Swedish client that is a client of mine, that you must contact.
Ooh. No,
okay, it's fairly good money. It's not fabulous, but it's fairly good money. It's commercial. They do a lot of shoots every week, and it's really cosmetics, perfumes, and makeup and stuff like that.
Oh, perfect!
Both of you guys could actually.
That is really interesting. Interesting you mentioned that, because we were actually at the airport and looking at cosmetic brands that had floral essences to them. We're thinking we could actually do this a lot better than what they're doing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We did the same when we were at the airport as well a couple of weeks ago. We were looking at everything and like, oh my god, this could be done so much better.
It's so interesting though, because these companies, they keep going back to the same photographers that they've worked with, but using our pictures as inspiration. Yeah. And I'm like, guys, just get in touch.
Exactly. But please remind me, I'm going to give you some contact details. They're a bit tough cookies, but they're very good.
That is really kind. Thank you.
I really, go for it, because it's a good client.
We won't let you down.
I mean, I'm more than glad to push clients your way. I'm more than glad to work together somehow, create stuff together. I don't know how it's going to look, but there's, what's a lot of most other photographers in the world, they wouldn't have these kind of conversations.
No.
Well, you've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
So Pratik, actually, observing you has definitely broadened my mind a lot. Because even from the beginning, when we first met, you were happily, for some reason, like if you had too much work on, you would recommend another retoucher.
Right.
And you'd be like, hey, get this person. When you would just, you would just spread the love.
Kind of like a open-ended agency, it's just building up. Like, for example, some people have the talent, but just not the connections. And really, like you said, there's no harm in doing it. It benefits everyone.
Yeah.
And it definitely comes back. I mean, do you have any stories where, off the top of your head, you remember where you've given somebody work or helped somebody out and they've come back to you and helped you out in this particular way?
It happens a lot. It's happened several times in my life, several times.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the message I want people to get away from this as well, is when we help others out in doing this, don't think of the short term, don't think of the wall, but look outside the wall and realize it's going to come back to you in ways you'll never even know.
Exactly.
Your life will be so much better for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much. And the thing that this point of view comes from people thinking that I'm talking about the limiting point of view, from people thinking that the universe only has X amount of things to give, instead of realizing that there's so much out there. It's just infinite. It just keeps going. There is no lack of anything if we really look at things.
Yeah, we are living in a time when anything we want, we can actually manifest and bring it to life.
Yes.
And there's room for all of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, there's so much opportunity out there that we haven't even created most of it yet, because most of the products that have done so well weren't even products to begin with. There wasn't even a market for it.
They were just ideas.
Yeah. I mean, look even at the way we create today with the digital technology. Yeah. Including retouching.
Yeah.
I mean, 15 years ago, it just did not exist in the same way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
20 years ago, it definitely didn't exist.
Yeah.
I was like, how old was I 20 years ago?
Don't even think about it.
Old.
You mean how young?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember, even when the iPhone first came out, I was thinking, I don't know how many people or even the iPad, I was thinking, how many people are going to use a big touch thing, And then suddenly everybody has the iPad. I'm like, oh my God, the market just exploded with this thing.
I know.
So the rule is be the iPad of your future.
So what else do you guys have coming up, and what would you like to create in the world and with your work, if you want to call it work?
Play.
Your play, exactly.
What's the next thing you're doing?
So next week I'm going to Australia, as I said. So I'm going to go teach out there. I'm holding a workshop in Melbourne, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, wow.
What do the workshops look like, Bella?
It was actually going to be a 2-day workshop, but then I think one day seemed to suit everyone a little bit more in terms of budget. So I was happy to just bring it down to 1 day, but it's just a really fun day. I tell everyone, just come along with a smile, bring your cameras, bring your laptops, because in the morning we just kind of shoot, we play, I watch them shoot. I really encourage it. For me, creativity is what can set you apart from another artist, just your level of creativity. Okay. So that's what I really want to cultivate at the workshops, is just be really creative. And find your voice, and I'm here to help you, whatever. And then we do the retouching bit in the afternoon, and that's more about giving you the skill sets to like bring it live. But then after that, we have a lot of travels that, like, we've spoken about this. We're traveling just a little bit.
But it just happened. The funny thing is, I told her a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, I said, believe me, you're going to end up traveling a lot. Don't worry about that right now. It's going to come.
I didn't believe you. So,
it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to Indonesia, then I come back for a few days, literally 5 days, and then I come back. I go to see him in the US, and then we go to Canada, then we go to New York. At some point, I'm going to Argentina, trying to grab him to come with me. But
we were talking about Argentina.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna.
I can't wait to recreate your dance scene. So
yes. Oh God, yes.
It's amazing.
I can just see this picture in front of me of the two of you walking into this tango cafe, but not sitting at the same table. On purpose, to take two separate tables and looking very mysterious, drinking your mate, and then look at each other and start dancing. My God.
It would be me. I'd like, saunter over to you and you'd be like, no.
Oh, yes.
I can't wait to attend.
We filmed the whole thing.
Yes. I would love it. I would actually love it.
It'll be more like a Mr. Bean skit than actual romantic. That way.
Edit it so it looks good.
I'm enrolling him in dance classes tomorrow. He cannot do some Mr. Bean moves next to me.
You have to put those in, Pratik.
I know.
They'll throw you out of the country.
Dance badly. They're going to kick me out. I know.
Yeah.
But you're teaching as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I'm very much in the same mindset of you in the way that I like to not to teach, but to kind of demonstrate my passion. Because like you said, it's more of a vessel to illustrate what I like to do and why I want to inspire other people to do it. You know, I get really bored trying to tell people how to do something if they're not, as receptive to it, or if they're just there. Like when you're in school and when you're growing up and you're kind of just learning because you have to learn.
Yeah, then you get it right away.
Yeah, exactly. So that mindset is everything I believe in is being around people that are passionate and sharing your passion. I think is the ultimate goal. I've learned that slowly. So hopefully we can use this kind of like a thing to build momentum off of.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what about you guys? What are you up to over the next few months?
Wow. We are just travel too. So we're starting with Milan in about a week. After that, we're going to the castle, which is between Milan and Turin. I'm saying the castle as if everybody knows about it. Anyway, our castle.
No, it's a castle.
It's a new shooting location, basically. It's a new shooting location. And so we're doing some things there. Then after that, we're going to Costa Rica.
No, Cologne first.
To Cologne Germany. First.
Oh, nice.
Then Costa Rica.
Then Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
We're away for 2 weeks. Then Copenhagen. Then back to Stockholm. And then we do Sharjah, Dubai, Tokyo, Australia.
Oh my God! So you are literally bouncing all over the world this time. Before the end of year.
This is before Christmas. Yes. This is before Christmas. So we decided that by next year, for next year, in order to be a little bit more organized, it won't be organized anyway.
Never, yeah.
No. But chaos, to have some kind of planned chaos, we're gonna do our world tour by continent.
Wow, yeah.
Perfect.
To do this.
Yeah.
So as far as we can see it is that from January, January is Europe, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't know where we'll go. April is the States already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Come to Houston.
Yes.
Oh yeah, lots of good food.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it's dried up by then.
If we are there, that'd be amazing. Although I do want to be in Tokyo during that time because it's Sakura season.
Yes.
You might be there.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. But that's great though.
Yeah.
When most of the traveling, is it for different jobs, or how is that kind of in play?
It's different. It's different all the time, and that's exactly what we're trying to. It's a little bit of a test without being a test. The way we were doing it now, So we're looking at certain events that I'm already booked in. For instance, in Germany, they booked me for some seminars for a week in January. So we look at it and say, okay, so we're going to be in Germany. So what else can we create around there? So those contacts that we already, those clients that we already have contact with, we'll let them be aware of our presence there and see what happens between now and January.
Yeah. Awesome questions to ask, by the way. Like,
yes,
who can I talk to? Who can I call?
Right.
What else can I create? Just and take the opportunity while you're already there. Just what else?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's really going not from going to a specific country because there is already a job there. Yes, some things are things that cannot be moved, like certain events that we have to be there. So those can be like the pillars, but everything else is like, okay, so what do we want to create here? What could we create here? What is possible?
What would be fun?
What would be fun? And without going into the conclusions of how it's going to look. And it's going to show up somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we want to do it. So make our, well, especially my agents aware of when I'm going to be in their territories already from now. So that they'll have like a 6 months plan so that we don't have to bounce around too much. And if a booking comes in January when we know that we're going to be in Europe and planning to do a lot of things in different European countries based on the first German request, but we decided to be in Europe for that. If somebody calls us from South America, we're going to say, no, South America, you'll have to wait until, I don't know, March, May, somewhere before or after the States.
Yeah.
And if that job disappears, well, then it was supposed to go to somebody else.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It makes a lot more sense.
Oh, good luck.
The stress, especially on your stress and jet lag levels.
Yeah.
You know one funny thing? I've never suffered a jet lag.
Oh, what?
Touch wood.
Wait, how?
Touch,
hold on.
touch
What are you drinking? What?
I arrive if I fly from here to Tokyo, I arrive in Tokyo and I'm wide awake. I'm not tired. I might go to bed a little bit later, but I'll still wake up in the morning in time. Fresh as a rose, go to work, do my job, get on a flight, come back home, and I'm on the same time zone here.
Wow. I bet you that's power of mental strength, convincing yourself you're already in that time zone.
No, I just get totally zonked on every single flight, regardless if it's 20 minutes or 20 hours.
Oh, really? That's the secret.
I just sleep. And the thing is that the trick is to sleep on the right flight so that you actually don't take away from your sleep when you arrive in that time zone. Yeah. But I don't do that. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that's so true.
If I do that, I arrive exhausted.
Yeah.
But I love sleeping in airplanes. So when I arrive, I'm like, okay, I'm in Tokyo. It's 6 in the evening. I've slept for 20 hours. It doesn't matter. I'll go to bed in a few hours. I'll go and have some sushi, go and have a drink. Now I'll go to bed.
That's incredible.
Do you have a special pillow?
Yeah. What is your plane routine? Because I could never sleep on planes. There's two types of people. People who can sleep on planes right away. Amanda, how are you like? Can you sleep on planes or not?
I sleep everywhere.
Oh, you're both amazing.
Like, seriously.
She falls asleep in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Wow.
But if I have trouble sleeping, champagne is always a good idea.
Yes. Cheers.
Yes. That's
That's amazing.
Yeah. Because I tried everything, like having a perfect pillow and having this routine of like noise cancellation headsets.
Okay.
Nothing works. It's
I'll give you a tip,
when I see some.
One tip. Anything above 6 hours, demand business class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't settle for less.
That's right. Yes.
And also, Pratik, if your body doesn't want to sleep, maybe it wants to do something else.
Yeah, listen
maybe it wants to work. Maybe it wants to read. Maybe it wants to do something else.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah, that's also another problem I face is that overactivity. Some people have a problem of finding inspiration. I have a problem like taming it down and
Don't, for God's sake, do not tame down your inspiration creativity ever.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so funny last night when I saw your text, Bella. In the middle, I was like, whoa, somebody else awake.
Yeah, we are on it this last few weeks. No, we're like this whenever we're together.
Yeah.
We're terrible when we're together.
No, it's good.
Wonderful.
But,
That's wonderful.
But I was just having a conversation about this with somebody else because, you know, people are either night owls or early birds. And I feel like early birds don't understand night owls and how it's possible.
Yeah.
Normally they don't understand each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, because they blame people who are night owls. Like, how can you stay awake so late? It's so unhealthy and all this stuff. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Actually, as long as you get enough sleep, you know, as long as you're healthy, it's all body clock, you know? It's all
I used to tell my grandma was always on me when I was a teenager. She was like, Amanda, you're missing out on so many hours during the day. And I was with her like super like teenager, like, well, you're missing out on a lot of things during night. So
yes, like peace of quiet.
But that still applies today, right? So,
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, it's an interesting conversation, not just regards to sleep, but regards to creation and regards to everything, because we buy into these points of views of this is the way that you should do it.
Yeah.
And if we just, and my body simply doesn't want to get up in the morning, I learned now. And when I got to the point of, because before I always judged myself for that.
Yeah.
I thought that I was wrong.
Right.
But then after a while I was like, well, fuck it. Like, if this is how my body works, then this is how my body works. I don't care about what anyone else says.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to buy into all of these points of view. We just have to ask ourselves, basically, okay, so what works for me?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's like being with Amanda is so incredible because I've been made wrong in all my previous relationships and created at night.
Yeah.
And they would tell me, you know, my partners would tell me, do you have to work now? Can't you go to sleep? And blah, blah, and all this, you know. And instead,
I'm not working,
I'm playing, I'm having fun.
I'm living, actually.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm alive, goddammit.
And instead, Amanda was like, the first time it happened, I was like, I got this, when was it? Was it for the castle thing, right? No, it was before. It was way before, yes. I can't remember when. Anyway, I was making myself wrong because I bought this from previous relationships. And I'd worked almost all night. And I felt so guilty when I went to bed because Amanda was sleeping.
Mm.
And in the morning, I was apologizing. I'm really sorry for not having come to bed with you last night. And she looked at me like, what? What are you talking about? It's like, but I wasn't there with you last night when you went to bed. It's like, did you have fun? Did you something great? It's like, yeah, I've been creating all night. Well then.
Yes.
Wow.
That's when relationships work, when you have respect for each other's choices and support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Going to bed tonight early?
No.
Okay.
I'm going out having fun. That's what I learned today. I'm having fun.
Oh God. Anyway, I could talk for hours with you guys, and I hope we will very soon.
Lovely.
I can't believe it's already been an hour. It's crazy.
No.
Yeah, let's do a sequel. Let's do more things together. Yes.
Yeah.
All the places where we're going to be.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. Yeah. Brilliant deal. And I would love to create, you know, we've been touching a little bit about creating some kind of all-in intensive week in the woods, in the forest in south of Sweden together, and inviting people to join us there so we can help them unleash their creativity with what we can offer them, the four of us.
So if you're watching and you're interested in that, let us know. So
Yeah.
4 of us here, let us know. And we're trying to push for summer because we don't want to invite these poor 2 wonderful completely in winter.
Really fragile.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm sure we'll be creating more stuff before the summer together anyhow. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing.
And that's a good inspiration for this event. It's just the open-endedness of creativity and learning from each other and seeing what we can make. I think it's a good plan. So I'm excited.
Perfect.
Well, on that
what
note,
else is possible?
it's a good thing we had the opportunity to make this happen. And
thank you so much.
So grateful for you guys.
Thank you.
Oh, grateful for you, for the energy you choose to be and how you are. And
Such a gift.
You are an amazing gift to us.
So are you.
Yeah.
So are you guys.
No, really, because that was the highlight of our
There's a
trip.
lot of love.
It's
Love. Brilliant.
Well, thank you guys so much, and thank you to all of you that is watching. Maybe there's one, or I don't know.
If for some reason you've been in the snow in Lapland or the forests of deep Russia or whatever, and you have not heard of these two amazing beings, well, check them out, because they are magic. They're pure magic. Don't take a word for it. They are incredible.
Thank you so much.
Of magnitude.
Yes.
Keep it up, and have a great trip to Australia.
Yeah.
And you too. To everywhere, to the world. Enjoy the world.
We'll be following as everyone else will be as well. So perfect.
Yes.
Let's spread this to everyone that wants
willing to go there.
Yeah.
That's willing to hear this and willing to be creative and expansive and without judgment, and just going for it and just having fun in life.
An inspiration can we be?
There'll be a lot of people watching, so it'll be good.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
You're gonna be
cool. Our better offs.
We'll talk to you soon again.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao. Talk soon. Bye. Bye.